Many Rethinking the Dollar viewers are familiar with the original PetroDollar deal the U.S. made with Saudi Arabia years ago. It was set up by Henry Kissinger and the Saudi princes in 1974 to prop up the U.S. dollar. At the time, confidence in the dollar was on shaky ground because President Nixon had ended gold convertibility of dollars in 1971. Saudi Arabia was receiving dollars for their oil shipments, but they could no longer convert the dollars to gold at a guaranteed price directly with the U.S. Treasury. The Saudis were secretly dumping dollars and buying gold in the London market. This began putting pressure on bullion banks receiving those dollars. Confidence in the dollar began to crack. Henry Kissinger and the Treasury Secretary William Simon worked out a plan. If the Saudis would price oil in dollars, U.S. banks would hold the dollars deposits for the Saudis. These dollars would be recycled to developing economy buyers, who in turn would buy manufactured goods from the U.S. and Europe. This would help the global economy and help the U.S. maintain price stability. The Saudis would get more customers and a stable dollar, and the U.S. would force the world to accept dollars because everyone would need dollars to buy oil. Now we're 43 years later. The wheels are coming off. China just announced that the oil exporter that accepts yuan for oil can convert oil to gold on the Shanghai Gold Exchange and hedge the hard currency value of gold on the Shanghai Futures Exchange. The deal has several parts, which together spells doom for the dollar. The first part is that China will buy oil from Russia and Iran in exchange for yuan. The yuan is not a major reserve currency, so it's not an especially attractive asset for Russia and Iran to hold. China solved that problem by offering to convert yuan into gold on a spot basis on the Shanghai Gold Exchange. This straight-through processing of oil to yuan to gold eliminates the role of the dollar altogether. Russia was the first country to agree to accept the yuan. The rest of the BRICS nations, predominantly Brazil, India, and South Africa, endorsed China's plan at the BRICS summit in China earlier this month. Now Venezuela has now signed on to the plan. Russia is number 2 and Venezuela is number 7 on the list of the 10 largest oil exporters in the world. Others will be soon following. So what can you take away from this? This marks the beginning of the end of the petrodollar system that Henry Kissinger worked out with Saudi Arabia in 1974, after Nixon abandoned gold. Of course, leading reserve currencies do die, but not necessarily overnight. The process can persist over many years. For example, the US dollar replaced the UK pound sterling as a leading reserve currency in the 20th century. That process was completed at the Bretton Woods Conference in 1944, but it began 30 years earlier in 1914 at the outbreak of World War I. That's when gold began to flow from the UK to New York to pay for badly needed war materials and agricultural exports. The UK also took massive loans from New York bankers, organized by Jack Morgan, head of the Morgan Bank at that time. The 1920s and 1930s witnessed a long, slow decline in sterling as it devalued against gold in 1931 and devalued again against the dollar in 1936. The dollar is losing its leading reserve currency status now, but there is no single announcement or crucial event. Just a long, slow process of marginalization. To make it even worse, Russia has taken its de-dollarization plans one step further. Russia has now banned dollar payments at its seaports. Although these seaport facilities are mostly state-owned, many payments, like those for fuel and tariffs, were still conducted in dollars. Not anymore. This is just one of many stories around the world showing how the dollar is being pushed out of international trade and payments to be replaced by the yuan, rubles, euros, or gold in this case. Now that gold, which was considered a barbarous relic for the last few decades, is unanimously added back into international trade, the question will then be, what is the right nominal price of an ounce in a dying currency? Well, unfortunately, no one can be for certain. Some experts say 10,000 an ounce. Others think it could be 50,000 an ounce. The truth of the matter is, it's completely irrelevant. The only thing that will matter is if you have some in your possession when the day all confidence in dollar is lost. Eventually, a tipping point will be reached where the dollar collapse suddenly accelerates, as happened to the sterling in 1931. When and not if it happens, I hope you took the time to have informed those closest to you, because everyone with eyes to see and ears to hear needs this information. So take a moment, share your thoughts below, and click the share button so that other people can begin understanding what's going to be the most important subject in their lifetime.